Finally, we're here. All
There he
right.
is, finally. Turning your
All
volume up
right.
as much as I can. If I use my computer, we would be through some
Yeah, yeah.
speakers, but
Well, I can hear you as
it's
well
okay.
too. So, well,
I can hear you.
Billy, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Yes. So I'm going to explain you a
My
little bit
pleasure.
about who we are. We are four guys from Venezuela, a country that you have been before, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions about that because I was at one of your clinics, by the way, one of your base clinics. Yes. So we are four guys. We
Great.
are all over the place, but I'm in Venezuela right now. There's Juan, who is in Mexico. There's Tama, he's in Italy, and there's Marcos, who is in Chile. I'm Carlos. I'm in Venezuela right now. And this is the second time I get to talk to you, Billy, because the first time was exactly 20 years ago, exactly right here in my city, Maracaibo, Venezuela, where you came and gave a wonderful, wonderful base clinic. I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that clinic?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It was a great experience. I was in Caracas and
Yes.
then Lake Maracaibo. And it was a great experience. I enjoyed being there very much. It was wonderful.
Of course, of
And
course.
hello to
And
your
I wanted
three
to ask you about
partners.
that because actually, I remember that you said, okay, the first person who asks a question is going to get a prize or a gift from me. I was that person. I was the first one who asked you that question. Of course, I have it somewhere.
Did you
right
get
here
your prize?
The thing is, I wanted to find it for the interview, but I couldn't find it because, well, if you see my big CD collection, you're going to guess. And you signed my Mr. Big Greatest Hits album as well. I really appreciate that. I do have this. Well, this is the Winery Dogs. This is a box that you put out from the first album. Yeah. But of course,
Very good.
do you remember that day in Maracaibo? Can you remember?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I usually say that at my clinic because people are shy sometimes. And so I say the first person to ask a question. Once one person asks, then everybody starts to talk and we have a good time. And we talk about, as you know, we talked about everything from music and bands and life and living and playing bass and amps and gear and songwriting and touring, anything, you know, and all of your listeners this evening are welcome to ask any question they
Absolutely.
like. I'll do my best to answer. But doing a clinic is always an enjoyable thing. I love to help my fellow musicians. I enjoy seeing them learning more and doing better. And I've been
Wow.
playing for over 55 years. So I've had a lot of experience that I'm happy to give to them so they can go be more successful
Absolutely.
quicker than I was.
Okay, since this is also for Latin America, I'm going to translate a little bit what you said, okay? Okay, all right, of course. Okay, Billy les acabo de preguntar sobre la clínica que él hizo en Venezuela, en Caracas y Maracaibo. Dice que sí tiene muy buenos recuerdos de eso. Yo le dije que yo era la persona que pregunté de primero y él me dio un regalo, un CD que por cierto no pude conseguir. Le mostré esto de Winery Dogs y dice que él le gusta hacer muchas de esas clínicas porque él así ayuda a los músicos que él inspira, por supuesto. Okay, Billy, so let's start. Of course, if anybody has questions, you can ask us. A lot of people is asking, well, we're going to talk about all of that. Mr. Big, Talas, Niacin, Songs of Apollo, Winery Dogs, of course, because, in fact, I really want to talk about Winery Dogs because a new album is coming up next year. And the first single just came out. And
yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me about the new Winery Dogs album.
I'm not sure if
I was looking
did the first
for
single
it,
come
but
out already?
I couldn't find it on YouTube. I'm not sure.
Maybe not then. No, I think it comes out in December. But we announced the first part of the tour. And everyone wrote, well, why aren't you playing in my city? Why aren't you playing in my city? So it's just the first part. There are probably 5 or 6 parts to the tour. So we were playing every city we can because we love to play and there's no place we wouldn't want to play. So hopefully we'll get to South America a lot and see our friends down there. And so usually the standard thing is you put out a record and then you tour. So we announced the tour, the record's going to come out, and then we're going to tour.
And we want to see you in Latin America.
We're very excited about it.
Yes, because we get crazy, especially in...
Great,
Absolutely.
amazing audiences.
Absolutely.
Amazing
Okay, let me
audience.
translate a little
We
bit.
love
Okay. Sí, por supuesto, Winery Dogs, por supuesto, viene con un nuevo disco que va a salir el año que viene y el primer single va a salir en diciembre. Yo pensaba que ya había salido, pero no. Y bueno, para los de Latinoamérica, sí, Winery Dogs quiere ir a Latinoamérica, pero bueno, vamos a esperar que apenas anunciaron la primera parte de la gira. Así que bueno, tengan paciencia que Billy, Richie Kotzen y Mike Portnoy van a estar en Latinoamérica y por supuesto primero en los Estados Unidos. So, tell me a little bit about this new album. Does it follow the same pattern of the two previous albums? Have you contributed more on this, or is a three-way part with Mike and Richie?
It's a mix between the two. We all sat in a room together and wrote and played like they used to do that in the old days. It wasn't done over the internet. We were all together in a room having fun. I'd play a bass line, Mike would do some drums, Richie would come up with some guitar and then some singing, and then we go on to another one. And we wrote like that for several days. We came up with some really wonderful stuff. We're very, very happy about it. Everyone who's heard the record already is very, very pleased with it. So we're very excited about it coming out. And playing that stuff live is going to be a blast. For me, live is more than the studio. I like the studio, but live is my thing. So I'm looking forward to playing the new songs, a bunch of them off the new record, playing those live.
Absolutely,
it's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure.
Okay, for the people in Latin America, sí, Billy dice que este disco, todos contribuyeron, estuvieron en el mismo sitio. No es que Mike estaba en un sitio o Richie en otro lado y Billy en otro lado. No, los tres estaban juntos, pasándola bien y grabaron este gran disco que de verdad están muy orgullosos de este disco. All right, Billy, we have a lot of questions, of course, from the people. Let's start with this with this question. It says, "Hi, dear BillySheehan. Any news about the dogs?" Well, you already talked about the dogs. A lot of people want to know, Billy, and I really have to ask you about Mr. Big. Obviously, we know Pat, unfortunately, is no longer with us, which is very sad. And the day I found out that Pat had passed away, I cried actually, because it was really tough. But I understand that you guys, obviously, it's hard for you to continue without Pat. Although you have a great, or at least you had on the last few tours that you did, you had a great drummer, Matt Starr. I think he's a great drummer, and I'm pretty sure that Pat will be proud. So I know Eric is right now actually touring in Latin America as a solo artist. So is there any news? Is there any plans to do, I don't know, a farewell tour or something else with Mr. Big?
Yes.
That's great news. Great news. We love that.
We want to play again. Matt started an amazing drumming job. He's fantastic. He was friends with Pat. When Pat couldn't play his kit but still could tour, he toured together with Matt, and they were very dear friends. But we need a guy that has Pat's voice. And Matt's got a great voice, but it's a different range. We need a guy way up here. So we found somebody. We'll let the world know about it soon. And we're hoping to do some shows
summer
maybe this
2023,
summer.
of course. Yes, okay.
2023, correct.
Con respecto a Mr. Big, sí hay planes de hacer una gira el año que viene, 2023, que Matt Starr, a pesar de ser un gran baterista, como lo dijo Billy, van a buscar a otro baterista que pueda cantar como lo hacía Pat, porque Pat tenía una gran voz, era un gran cantante, y ellos quieren un baterista que también pueda cantar, que ya lo tienen seleccionado, pero que próximamente lo dirán, y que el próximo verano podrán revelar de quién se trata. Okay, Billy, are you doing some master classes right now? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Master classes, I mean, bass clinics.
I'm doing a what? Oh, yeah, well, I live in Nashville now, and it's Music City. And down the street from my house is a fantastic music store. And for the pandemic, I'm doing a lot of home recording. I'm in my studio now. But that's just me and my engineer. I wanted to see some people, so we decided, let's do some master classes. It's just me and one other person in a room. We do 4 a day. maybe one weekend on the month. And it's been fantastic. I get to sit down with another bass player, or we've had drummers and guitar players and non-musicians too that just want to sit down and talk about music. So we sit down for over an hour. They videotape the whole thing. They take the video with them, and I show all kinds of bass stuff, and I watch their playing, and I give them some advice on what I think will be better for them, how they can play better or easier or learn more. And it's been a fantastic success. The only problem is we really can't take it anywhere, because if I take it to another city, I got to fly. There's a hotel, there's expenses, and so it would cost a lot of money, and I don't want to charge people that much money. So Nashville is a great tourist place. So a lot of people come from all over the world to come to Nashville. So, and it's only 5 minutes from my house, so I can drive down there, take my bass out, play my master class, and meet some wonderful people. I'm going to do another one on the 9th and 10th of December, and maybe one in January. But then I'll be on tour February, March, almost all of next year. So hopefully I can start to do it in other cities, but we'll need some kind of a sponsor, because there are much more costs involved if I have to fly in and get a hotel. But this is nice because I can just drive down the street, hang out. I bring a bunch of my basses. I'll bring out.
Wow, amazing.
Wait a minute. Like this one here is my original P bass. I bring that with me. That's her sister. That's the 30-year anniversary Yamaha version of that. And there's the pink bass I used on Eat 'Em and Smile, first Mr. Big record. And then on the other wall, there's even more basses. So I bring my basses down if they want to try them out or take a photo with them. And it's a wonderful experience.
Well, we have actually a question right here. Well, I'll translate it for you, but have you considered masterclass online instead of in person?
I should do it. I should do it. Maybe someone can set it up. I've done a rock and roll fantasy camp and a few private ones, but I'd like to do a public one. It would be nice. Just for them. I may get someone here to help me and read me the questions and see what I can do. Maybe I'll do that at the beginning of next year.
Of course.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me translate to the person, because the person just asked the question in Spanish. Sí, él está pensando hacer masterclasses en que, bueno, que es cuestión de logística, de ver cuánto va a costar, va a ser el costo de estas masterclasses. Y bueno, él está abierto, él las hace en Nashville, donde él vive, y él puede dirigirse al sitio donde hace las masterclasses, porque él queda 5 minutos de su casa. Y bueno, ahí nos mostró varios de sus bajos, sobre todo el bajo rosado que usó en Eat 'Em and Smile. And I have a question later on about Eat 'Em and Smile. Y también, por supuesto, los bajos que él ha usado con Mr. Big y con los Winery Dogs, etcétera, etcétera. Well, of course, I have to ask you now about Eat 'Em and Smile. There's a Spanish version of that album that David Lee Roth recorded in Spanish, which in Spanish is called Sonrisa Salvaje, which is actually it's Wild Smile. That's the little translation, of course, is because Eat 'Em and Smile is in Spanish would be something like Cómelo y sonríe, something like that. But do you remember the recording of the Spanish version, the version in Spanish of all the songs from Eat 'Em and Smile?
Yes. It actually was my idea. Later on, someone else took credit for it. It was my idea. And because I knew Dave spoke Spanish, so we should do the record in Spanish.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I don't speak Spanish, but so it was just me and Dave in the studio, and we sang to the pre-recorded music of Eat 'Em and Smile. Just redid the vocals, and he taught me the words.
Yes.
So I know Vuelto Loco El Calor, and I know Tímido Tímido, and all the. So it was just Dave and I, and we went in, and it was a studio where Missing Persons, the band Missing Persons, was recording, which is
85,
maybe
okay,
late 85 or early 86.
Yes.
The record came out summer of 86. And so we went there, and Terry Bozzio's wild electronic drum kit was set up. And I sang at the microphone where his wife, Dale Bozzio, was a very attractive young lady, where she sang. So it always had her lipstick and perfume on the mic, so it could always smell.
Nice.
My microphone smelled very nice. So we sang all the songs. Just me and Dave did all the harmonies, and it was a great experience. And every time I go down to anywhere in South America, people have the record.
Have you ever sang Shy Boy in Spanish, or no? Or you have never? Oh yeah.
Yes, I did. I think in Mexico one time I was doing a jam and I started singing Tímido hasta el oído.
Very cool adaptation in Spanish. It sounds fun and it sounds amazing. That's what I can tell you as a Spanish speaking person. I can tell you about that.
Well, that was
yes.
Dave. Dave was a Spanish speaker.
Yes.
He just told me what to do.
Oh,
when
yes,
I did
yes,
it,
because
so.
I actually heard,
he gets the credit.
You know that the Van Halen show with David Lee Roth I think it was in '83. They played Venezuela. You can find that show on YouTube, and there's Dave speaking Spanish all over. So it was great. It was great. Okay, let me translate a little bit. En cuanto a Irem Smile, a Sonrisa Salvaje, el CD el LP que ellos grabaron en español, que es la versión en español de Irem Smile, la idea fue de BillySheehan, de hacerlo en español, porque David Lee Roth, por supuesto, hablaba bastante bien español. Le mencioné de que Van Halen, el show en Caracas, en Venezuela, se encuentra en YouTube, y que Dave hace su discurso en español, y bueno, ellos dos en el estudio grabaron las voces para Irem Smile, la versión en español que es Sonrisa Salvaje. All right, Billy, so let's see. I also remember one other story from the clinic you gave here in Venezuela, in Maracaibo. Do you remember the guy who was with you? It's a Venezuelan musician called Fernando Valladares. Do you remember that guy? Yeah, well, he's in
not sure if I do.
He said to me that he put you some salsa music from Venezuela, and that you started playing with your bass, and that you follow it through. Do you remember that story?
Boy, I'm surprised that I don't remember.
Yeah, well, it was 20 years ago. It's really hard to remember.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of gigs.
Of course.
And a lot of clinics.
But he was the guy who actually was a translator in that clinic, and he then said that he put some music from Venezuela, and that he put it like, okay, Bill, what do you think of this? And you said that it was cool, and that you started playing with your bass, and that it sounded amazing. But well, I understand if you don't remember that, because 20 years ago, lots of gigs, it's really hard for you to remember exactly that thing.
Yeah, sorry. I generally remember almost everything. I surprise people with what I remember, but for some reason but I still have photos of that event, and I met some wonderful people there, and I do remember doing it, but I don't recall the musical part.
Yes. I shook your hand, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life, to be honest with you. Yes. Okay, let me translate. Le estuve comentando a Billy de que, que dice que hay una anécdota de que supuestamente Fernando Valladares, baterista de Guaco, le puso, él fue el traductor en esa clínica, y que le puso alguna música de salsa de Venezuela, y que Billy la escuchó, la tocó y que le pareció genial, pero Billy no recuerda eso. Sí, eso fue hace 20 años y es difícil recordar muchos detalles, de verdad que es difícil recordar. Billy, another one of your bands, of course, it's one that a lot of people love, Sons of Apollo. It's Sons of Apollo, well, of course, Jeff Scott Soto, Mike Portnoy, Bumblefoot, Derek Sherinian. What are the plans right now? Or do you have plans to a record, tour? What are the plans right now for Sons of Apollo?
Things are kind of on hold. We're waiting to see everybody get back up to their normal business after the whole pandemic thing. So hopefully we'll do more very soon. I enjoy playing in that band very much. And we had some great shows. The show with the Philharmonic Orchestra over in Europe was quite awesome. And hopefully there'll be more soon. It's a wonderful
band. And what I love about that band is in the live show, actually, there's a DVD from that show. It's awesome because you guys all play music from all your bands, actually, and that's That's awesome, actually.
Cool. Yeah, it's a great band. I enjoy playing. All the people in it are wonderful.
I hope so.
Hopefully more to come.
Le pregunté sobre Sons of Apollo y él dice que bueno, que ahorita la banda no está haciendo nada, pero que él espera que en algún momento puedan grabar alguna otra cosa y que es una banda maravillosa y que espera poder unirse a la banda. Okay, let's see, Billy, if we have questions for let's see, from people right here. Let's see. That's an interesting question.
Okay.
Did you record the new album directly to the console, or did you use real amps? Okay, it's right here. Did you record the new album directly to the console, or did you use real amps? Yeah.
The Winery Dogs was all real. It goes back and forth. It's pretty rare now in a studio to have an amp with a mic in front of it, surprisingly. I was out one evening and was with the 4 or 5 very big producers, and they all laughed. They said it's been years since they put a microphone in front of an amp. They use all modeling now. They're in live shows too very much. But I have my original amp that I used in Talus in the 70s and the 80s. That's all set up in my studio, so I can use that. I'm very used to that sound. But I also have the digital versions of everything too. So sometimes it's a little easier to go digital, but we do both ways.
Okay. Bueno, Billy dice que de verdad hace años que amplificadores es difícil conseguir en el estudio, pero que él sí lo hizo con Winery Dogs y que bueno, que él ha trabajado con muchos productores reconocidos y que le dicen, hace años que no hay amplificadores en los estudios, porque bueno, pero él dice que trabaja de ambas maneras, tanto digital como análogo, que él disfruta ambas maneras y que él tiene todo su material en digital, así que eso siempre va a ser así. Well, Billy, there's another band that obviously I see a little movement, and I heard the new album, and it's really, really good. And it's a band that probably, I don't know if this was your first professional gig, but obviously Talus put out a new album, obviously with a new singer, obviously, which is really cool, by the way. I heard the full album streaming, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Is there gonna be a tour for behind that? Are you gonna do something?
Well, the singer was the singer that we had in 1985, and the album is titled 1985. His name is Phil. Sadly, Phil passed away soon after the record was completed, but he did an amazing job, and he did it knowing that he had some health trouble. So he was a very brave man to get up to that microphone and hit it so great. What a wonderful guy he was, too. And that was the version of Talus that toured with Yngwie in 1985. David Lee Roth came to see me and had me join him from seeing that band. And that was a very important version of Talus. I happen to have our record right here, the new album. And it's got a DeLorean on the cover. And it's doing great. The record company is very pleased. It's selling consistently. We actually charted on American Billboard magazine charts. So that was incredible. And everyone in the band, we had just a wonderful time making that. We didn't change the songs to a modern version, even though they're more than 30 years old. We did them the same way we did them back then. No rewrite, no fixes. And I'm glad we did. Because the DeLorean is the time machine from Back to the Future. So the idea was to go back to 1985 because that was a great time in music. There was bands everywhere, New York City, LA. There was millions of clubs, millions of bands. The streets were lined with rock and roll people. Sunset Boulevard in LA was jammed every night with people and rock. And so with that spirit, we did this record, and we're very pleased the way it came out. So no plans for a tour or a reunion for now? Obviously. Well, we have to find someone to sing, And we've spoken to a couple people, and we have a couple people in mind. We may go out and do some shows, especially in tribute to Phil, our singer, because we want to pay him great respect and great honor because he was just such a wonderful man. So we may maybe next fall, fall of 2023, do a bunch of shows, and we'll record them. Maybe we'll live stream them. We'll video them, and it should be a great time in memory of a wonderful man, in memory of a great time in music.
Well, Back to the Future, my favorite movie of all time, by the way, DeLorean. The DeLorean. That actually, when I saw the live stream, when I saw the cover, I was like, oh my God, the DeLorean. I was like, wow. And what I heard was awesome. It's a really good album. Anybody who's watching us right now, go listen or get the album, because I still buy CDs, by the way. Of course, I listen to streaming, but I still buy CDs, and I have a big collection, including most of your music, by the way. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear. Yeah, we have a drummer in this band. His name is Mark Miller. If you're a drummer out there and want to hear the guy that influenced Mike Portnoy and Ray Luzier from Korn, Mike Portnoy's the first photo of Dream Theater with Mike and his guitar player and drummer.
Yes.
Mike is wearing a Talos t-shirt because he was a big fan of Mark Miller. And Mark is just a spectacular drummer. And I think when you see Mike Portnoy stand up on the kit now, I think he may have got that from Mark.
Okay, let me translate a little bit. Estábamos hablando un poco de Talas, y sí, que ellos grabaron ese disco en el año 85. Y bueno, de haber una gira sería el año que viene, en el otoño del 2023. Sí consiguen un buen cantante que le pague tributo a ese gran cantante que, bueno, que lamentablemente ya no está con nosotros, el cantante original de Talas. Y bueno, que el baterista de Talas también influenció mucho a Mike Portnoy, porque de hecho en la primera foto de Dream Theater sale Mike con una franela o una polera, una camiseta de Talas, porque era muy fan del baterista de Talas. Así que bueno, excelente todo eso. All right, Billy, let's see if we have another question right here. Let's see. Here's an interesting question. Billy, do you believe that with a regular Fender P-Bass and your EVS signature driver, I will get a bass tone similar to that on Mr. Big's first album?
Absolutely. Yeah, very much. The EVS pedal splits the signal, so you have a clean signal and a distortion mixed together. I've done whole records with just that pedal through only one pickup, only the P pickup. So it works great. And I've gotten email from people all over the world that use that pedal exclusively. That's all they use. I remember, I think Rudy Sarzo told me he doesn't leave home without my pedal. So Rudy is such a dear friend and a great guy too, and great player. So I was very honored that he said that. But a lot of players use the one of the 3 different versions. They're very similar. And they, like I said, I've done whole entire records with just that pedal.
Amazing. That's great. Okay. Well, here's an interesting question. What do you think about rock music scene nowadays?
Oh, I think it's alive and well and doing great. It's it doesn't seem that way because there's no MTV or magazines, or Billboard charts are different now. But go to a live show and it's jam-packed and people love it. And I'm as excited about playing bass as I was when I was 16 years old. So I think it's a wonderful time for music. Anybody with a laptop can have the same studio as would have taken you $10 million to make back in the 70s. And so it's all on your laptop now. Perfect. Even better than what you could have had in the 70s. And all the equipment and gear, it's much easier to get, much easier to do. And there's YouTube and other websites where you can find out how to write a song, how to play bass, play guitar, play drums, what to do with the band, how to mix, how to master, how to record. It's an explosion of information for all musicians. So it's just a fantastic time. And with your phone or your laptop, you're a few clicks away from billions of people, you know, so I think it's a great time for musicians
bueno,
and music.
Billy decía que es una época muy maravillosa para el rock y para la música, porque ahora con una laptop tú puedes tener todo lo que quizás te costaba miles de dólares en los 70 y 80, ahora lo tienes en la laptop bien cómodo y no te cuesta mucho. Así que es un gran momento para la música, hay muchos conciertos en vivo y de verdad que eso sigue siendo genial. Billy, I want to ask you a question. You know, in one of your clinics, when you came here to Venezuela, you mentioned, of course, you didn't want to mention the name, and you don't have to mention today, but you said, because a lot of people ask you about different bass players that you love, that you like, and you said there's only one bad bass player in the world, but that you said, I'm not going to tell you who it is because I could get in trouble, and let's see. That the only way you could say it is if you drink some alcohol and probably said, "Oh, well, it's this guy." So I'm not gonna. Yeah, of course.
Even then, I would.
But all I'm gonna ask you is that question: is that guy still alive?
I'm not sure who I was referring to.
Maybe a little bit.
May have been a little bit.
Somebody
of comedy.
told me.
Because I really don't. Even bass players that are very simple and they don't play, I love the bass players like that. I think every musician has something special about them. Like we all have a different fingerprint, the iris of our eye, our DNA. Every musician has something different. And that's good because every musician has its own signature sound. People hear my records and they go, I knew it was you as soon as I heard it because I know what you sound like. And I'm like that with many players too. As soon as I hear, I go, aha, I know who that is. So I don't think there's really any bad players anywhere. I just think that you choose the type of style you play, and that's what you do. And some very simple players and basic players, I love their playing. Some of the greatest records ever made for me, Back in Black.
Absolutely.
Cliff Williams,
absolutely.
Brilliant. But he's not going wild. He's just holding that whole band together. It's brilliant. And Michael Anthony and Van Halen. Maybe he doesn't do a lot of stuff, but I've got bootlegs of Van Halen from before they got signed, and Michael's all over the place. He's a fantastic player. But in Van Halen, for the song, he plays what's right. So I have great respect for him too. But I don't think it's really any bad players. I mean, that are recording.
Absolutely.
You learn and you get better.
You know, one that a lot of my friends used to criticize a lot, it's someone who actually used to play a lot with a pick, and a lot of people say, no, he sucks because he plays with a pick, and I'm like, no. And I'm talking about somebody that you probably think you probably think good about him, Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses. A lot of people used to criticize, yeah, me too.
I love Duff. Duff is great. Listen to the tone on Appetite for Destruction. Brilliant. He's a good friend, wonderful guy. And I tell people, if you play with the pick, the thumb, 1 finger, 2 finger, 3, 4, 5, 10, a drill, whatever it is, it's okay. As long as you're getting the notes you need, it's okay. And pick players, in the early days, pick players were preferred because they liked the sound of that pick. You know, later on, fingers became more popular.
Absolutely.
But,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I love
awesome.
Duff.
He's a wonderful guy too.
Guns N' Roses. I love Mr. Big. I love all kinds of music. So, I mean, yes, absolutely.
Me too.
Ok, le estaba preguntando a Billy, a él en alguna clínica dijo que había un bajista malo que no le gustaba, pero dice que él realmente no piensa que existen bajistas malos. Y bueno, le mencioné a Duff McKagan, que mucha gente lo criticaba porque él toca con una uña, con una púa, y él dice que no, que Duff es genial, que es su estilo, y de verdad que eso no tiene por qué criticarse, porque es algo que de verdad es genial. Muchos bajistas son geniales con esto. All right, Billy, here's a question that one of the guys from us, from Los Necios, from the stubborn guys, that we in English would be the stubborn guys as we are, he wanted to ask you the following question. You accomplished a lot, Billy, in your career. Is there anything musically speaking that you would like to achieve that you haven't achieved yet?
Well, I'm I'm still working every day down here in my studio with my bass, one of them, and I'm working on more stuff and new stuff, improving what I have, rediscovering things I forgot. And it doesn't mean playing more and faster licks. Sometimes it just means getting a great, what we call a pocket, where you're in time with the drummer. And I still have much more to learn. I have a lot to learn. And every day I discover a new thing that I never knew before. And I've said that often, and sometimes when I say it, I think to myself, is that really true? And every day, aha, there it is. I had no idea. There's a new thing. So that's a great thing about the adventure of music, is it never ends. There's always another mountain to climb. You get on the top of that and you see a higher mountain ahead of you. So I'm always working hard on improving myself, improving my playing, expanding my playing. During the pandemic, I've recorded over 600 songs, about 5 or 6 albums, all kinds of styles, from electronic dance music, death metal, hard, heavy rock, country and western, classical, jazz, fusion, prog. And each one has been an adventure. I had to think of a new thing or figure out a way to do something. And so there's still a lot more I want to accomplish.
Many things you want to accomplish. Ok, le estaba preguntando a Billy sobre que si él hay algún objetivo pendiente a nivel musical que le gustaría lograr, y él dice que sí, que él siempre está avanzando, que él siempre está grabando cosas. Dice que acaba de grabar 600 canciones ahorita durante la pandemia, de todo tipo de estilos, death metal, country rock y muchos otros estilos más, que bueno, que poco a poco irá saliendo todo ese material. Well, Billy, here's a very interesting question, which I don't know would be your answer for this, but would Billy ever reunite or consider reuniting with the Eat 'em and Smile band if the opportunity came up?
I don't know if that opportunity will ever happen, but if it did, I'd love to. I love that band. That was my big break. After that, my career was great. I'm supremely grateful to Dave, as well as to Steve and Greg and Brett Tuggle, our keyboard player. Wonderful people. I'm still close with Steve and Greg. I haven't spoken with Dave for a long time, but he's still my hero. I still love him. And I think it's maybe too late for that to happen, but of course I would love to if it ever did. That was an incredible adventure. When I read a book, I'll tell all the stories.
I will buy that book. Of course, absolutely. But I heard a rumor that that you actually had a plan to reunite with that band, but not with Dave, obviously, but with Michael Starr from Steel Panther singing. That something happened in that was going to be in LA, and that something happened with the fire department that didn't allow that. What happened that night?
Well, Steve and Greg and myself were going to go play at a jam. There's a jam every Tuesday, but it's a real jam. You run on stage, plug in, play, get off, next band. There's no sound check. There's no fixing anything, no checking the monitors, nothing. Get up, sing and play, get off. Next band, sing and play, get off. And everybody plays it. I played it a bunch of times. Nuno's played it. Everybody in LA played it. All these great bands and famous people. So Steve and Greg and I were going to go up, and we called our keyboard player Brett, and he was going to join us too. And so let's get the guy from Steel Panther. But then somebody said, well, what if Dave wants to do it? I don't know. So somebody called him, and he said yes. So I had to call the singer and tell him, hey, don't tell anybody, but Dave's going to do it. So thank you anyway. He said, oh, cool. I can't wait to see it. So unfortunately, the club started to tell people it was supposed to be a secret. And there was way too many people. It was very dangerous. So the fire department came in and shut it down. So we were on stage ready to go.
So that was the closest.
The curtain was down.
That was the closest day.
Me, Steve, Dave, Greg, and Brett were all there. So after the show, and I posted the picture many times of me, Dave, Steve, Greg and Brett, and we went backstage and just hung out and talked about the old days. So we had a great time, but unfortunately we couldn't play. So we had planned to do it again, but you know, life is busy, and it never happened. But we got a chance to hang out, and that's the best thing about the Even Smile band. We would sit in Dave's basement after rehearsal, having some beers and tell stories, and it was the greatest time ever. So we did a little more of that, and that was cool.
Oh, so, yeah. I
almost.
Wish it would have happened.
It almost
My
happened.
God. That band was awesome. I wish it would have happened. Okay, let me translate a little bit. Bueno, con respecto a una reunión de la banda de Even Smile, está bastante difícil porque, bueno, todos están ocupados y, bueno, la verdad no sabemos cómo está David Lee Roth en este momento. Y además, sí se trataron de reunir en Los Ángeles hace unos años iban a reunirse originalmente con con Michael Starr de Steel Panther, pero David Lee Roth a última hora dijo que sí, y el departamento de bomberos, como vio que se regó la información de que se iban a presentar, se presentó mucha gente y decidieron no permitirlo, pero ellos se reunieron en el backstage y conversaron y de verdad que la pasaron muy bien. Y bueno, Billy puso esa foto varias veces por ahí en redes sociales. Well, let's get another question from the audience, obviously. Let's see. Lots of bands are using backing tracks live. Would you use tracks to enhance the sound of your band? Never.
Never.
Answer.
Never. No, we used to rehearse with Mr. Big at the rehearsal hall in North Hollywood, where everybody used to rehearse there. Guns N' Roses, Tom Jones, David Bowie, everybody rehearsed there. And we would rehearse just me, Pat, and Paul first. And then once we had all the songs, then Eric would join us later. And we'd be singing all the harmonies. So you wouldn't hear any lead vocals. Then all of a sudden you hear the harmonies, or Green Tinted, or Alive and Kickin', or any of those songs. And people would open the door and say, what kind of sampler are you using? We say, we're singing. They go, no, I heard the vocals. In the vocals, what sampler is that? I go, we're singing. They go, here. And so we play the song and sing the harmony. I go, oh, because I'm an old man. I come from a time when we really sang. You know,
yeah.
And Mr. Big, we always really sang. And one of our sound men one time asked a new sound man, actually a woman, a wonderful sound person, when we first met, she goes, so what samplers are you guys using for your vocals? And we, none. We don't have one. We don't do it. It's so I've played tours. I played a Japanese tour where they used some samples, not a lot. And I did a tour with Virgil Donati and Tony McAlpine, where some of the tracks, all instrumental though, but it was Tony playing because we didn't have he plays guitar and keyboard, so some of Tony's keyboard tracks were added with a sampler. But I've never done it. Certainly vocals, not ever vocals. But all our vocals have always been real in everything. Even on Eat 'Em and Smile, it was all real. Talus was always all real. So yeah, I disagree.
Absolutely.
With,
Great answer.
Examples.
Y bueno, para los que hablan español, sí, Billy se le preguntó que si él usa samplers en los conciertos y dice que absolutamente no, que él nunca lo ha hecho en ninguna de sus bandas y que nunca lo haría. Que quizás lo hizo alguna vez con Tony McAlpine, que hizo unos samples de teclados, pero más allá de eso, no, él no cree en eso para nada. Let's see another question. Okay. All right. Who mixed and mastered the Dogs record, the new Dogs record? Who mixed and mastered the Winery Dogs new record?
Jay Rustin. He did our first two records. Great mixer. The first record, the first Winery Dogs record, I'm always worried because my bass is a little tricky to mix because there's two sounds. You got to get them balanced, and sometimes it's difficult. And usually when a producer sends you his mix, everybody makes, like, okay, turn this down, turn that up, turn this down. Everybody sends the fluids, and he fixes it. And it goes back and forth and back and forth. For Jay, the first Winery Dogs record, we got it. We said, done. It's perfect. And I asked him, how did you get the bass so balanced? I always have a hard time. And he said, he just took there's 3 tracks of bass, put them all, and never touched them. And that's how that's not on it. So he did a great job. So we've used him now on our third Winery Dogs record. He's done an amazing
bueno, rapidito,
job.
Jay Rosen es el que mezcló y produjo el nuevo disco de los Winery Dogs que estará disponible en el 2023. Okay, there's another band and asking you this question. Please tell us about Niacin. Is there any chance of another album or a new album for Niacin?
Possibly, yeah. We got together last winter time to do a little special benefit show, about 5 songs. And we had a wonderful time. Dennis Chambers on drums is just a grand master. Probably one of the greatest musicians I've ever known. Just brilliant. So we hope maybe it's a crowded time now with Winery Dogs, Mr. Big, and Tallis. So I'd love to squeeze some Niacin in because I love that band. And again, I just love playing with Dennis Chambers.
Musician. Bueno, con respecto a Niacin, sí, están pensando de pronto hacer algo más adelante. Hace poco hicieron un pequeño concierto de 5 canciones nada más y que bueno, que Billy adora a Dennis Chambers en la batería. Es un gran músico y bueno, quizás se pueda venir algo por ahí definitivamente. Let's get another question. All right. Let's see. A lot of people is asking, there's 2 people that is asking if you like Dream Theater music.
Well, there's a lot of bands that I'm not a fan of for no reason other than there's just I don't have that much time to listen. And like, for example, Rush. People always assume, oh, you must be a Rush fan. Plus, Buffalo was right near Toronto, so we were 1 city away from Rush. But at the time, I was out playing every night, writing and recording. I didn't have time to get into the band. Now later, Mr. Big toured with Rush. We did 2, Presto and a Roll the Bones. And I fell in love with the band. I love the band. It's fantastic. And wonderful people, too. Just the greatest guys ever. But Dream Theater was one of those bands I just never had a time. Plus, the prog that I grew up on was the first prog. It was King Crimson. It was Genesis. It was Mahavishnu Orchestra, Chick Corea, Romantic Warrior, bands like that. So my prog is a little different than modern prog, and I like that a bit more. But in a PSMS, Portnoy, Sheehan, McAlpine, Sherinian, we did a couple instrumental. Change of Seasons, I think, was one of the songs we did, and I just saw it on video the other night, and I really liked the song, but I was just never. I hesitate sometimes to tell someone I'm not into a band because I think I don't like them. Not true. I think they're a great band, but I just don't have the time to listen to. There's just so many things that I like already. It's hard to squeeze in, and my iTunes is over 2 terabytes of music with the right cover art and the titles, and everything is perfect. And plus, I've been around a lot longer than most musicians today, because I'm older. So I go back to the Everly Brothers and the Yardbirds and the Jerry Lee Lewis and before the Beatles, and the Beach Boys before the Beatles. So there's only so much random access memory in my head that to think of things. But I have great respect for them, and
absolutely.
I'm happy for their success.
And well, another person is asking, what do you think of John Mayen as a bass player?
A wonderful player. We did an interview together in Japan many years ago, and he's a very bright and smart player, and he executes some wonderful, complex lines really well. A great player.
All right.
Fantastic player. Yeah.
And well, here's another one. Who is your bass hero? I suppose has to be somebody from the 60s.
You're right. No, I just recorded with the original Cactus drummer, Carmine Appice. Yes. And he was the drummer in the Vanilla Fudge. He was also the drummer for Rod Stewart.
Yeah,
I think I'm Sexy. I think that was Carmine's song. Yeah, he played with Ozzy as well. And we just did a tribute to Cactus, a song called Parchment Farm, really fast song, probably the template for many, like Hot for Teacher and many other songs like that. I think a lot of that came from Parchment Farm. Huge, great band. And that was Tim Bogert was the bass player. And he was him and another guy named Paul Samuel Smith with the Yardbirds. They were my two big guys when I first grew up. Paul McCartney too, of course, and Jack Bruce and John Entwistle. But there's just a million guys that I love on bass, too many to list. And then also I was influenced by a lot of other musicians, not only bass players, but pianists, a lot of classical music, a lot of string players and string pieces, and Bach and Beethoven and Debussy, a lot of great composers. So, but Paul Samuel Smith and Tim Bogert were my two building blocks. From there, I did what I did, and
absolutely,
I have great respect for both.
Well, Billy, we're gonna get to almost to the end of the interview, but before we go, obviously, people is asking you to play a little bit of bass. But first of all, I'm gonna ask you. We have what we call the stubborn questions. The stubborn questions, I'm going to give you, it's something similar to what Sammy Hagar does on his show, like this or that, but we call it the stubborn questions. All right, I'm going to give you two options, and you're going to pick one. If you want to elaborate why you picked that, or if you just don't want to elaborate, it's okay. But I'm going to give you two options, and you're going to pick one. All right.
Okay.
All right. First question.
Right. Here we go.
Japan audience or Latin American audience? A tie, wow.
Tie.
Because I know Japan is very special for you.
Well, actually, it is different. Japan, they're amazing, but they're focused and watching. Where the Latin American audience are wild. And so both kind of are equal with the intensity of the Japanese audience and the wildness of the Latin American. As Americans, we tend to like the wild, but it's a challenge to play in front of the Japanese because they're watching every move you make. They know every little thing. It's pretty incredible. So they're both a challenge. I love them both. I wouldn't want to live without either one. I would love
absolutely.
Both of them.
Bueno, empezamos con la pregunta necia. Le pregunté que si el público de Japón o el público de Latinoamérica. Me dice que es un empate, porque el público de Japón se concentra en ver y que es genial y que se da cuenta de todos los movimientos. Y el público de Latinoamérica simplemente estamos locos, de verdad que sí. All right, next one. I think this is a very hard one, but let's see what your answer is going to be. John Entwistle from The Who or Jack Bruce from Cream? I know it's a tough one.
Wow.
It's a tough one.
That's a tough one. I think Jack was an overall more accomplished musician, and he's also lead singer too, so that was a big thing. And he had a huge influence on me, and John Entwistle almost the same. He may not have, but he played French horn too, so he had to have great musical taste. I'm going to have to do another tie.
It's okay.
Don't get mad at me.
And John was a singer too.
But
Boris the Spider.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was kind of a character voice. Where Jack Bruce, he sang "Theme for an Imaginary Western," and what a voice! It's incredible. But I'm gonna do a tie there too. So
bueno,
don't get mad.
Le pregunté por John Entwistle y Jack Bruce cuál elige. Él elige. De verdad que es difícil para él porque los dos son geniales. Así que un empate también. All right. I'm going to ask you about two styles that you have played before, obviously, and which one is your favorite? Play progressive rock or play thrash metal? Oh, wow.
Thrash metal.
Great. So you love playing with Metal Allegiance, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
I never played. I did one or two shows, but I did a thing where it was me,
Phil Anselmo as well,
Kerry King from Slayer, Gary Holt from Exodus,
Charlie,
I think the Anthrax drummer, and I forgot the singer, Phil Anselmo. And we did Chemical Warfare and a bunch of Slayer songs, and it was a riot. I had a blast. I'd love to do a tour with one of those bands because it's all feeling and in the moment. Some of the other music you have to think a little bit, and I like that too. But I'm going to go with I'm going to pick one this time.
Awesome.
And that would be
Awesome. Le pregunté que cuál sería para él mejor tocar, rock progresivo o thrash metal. Eligió que el thrash metal porque le encanta. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, this is a hard one, but I'm gonna ask you. Two albums. Pick one if you can. Lean into it or bump ahead.
Okay. Well, I got to go with Lean Into It only because it was a real breakthrough record. Though Bump Ahead, I think, is as good a record. We had a little problem with the record company where they once we had a hit, they didn't pay any attention to us anymore. But we did have a hit off Bump Ahead with Wild World. But I think they're both equal in quality. But my heart goes out to Lean Into It because that was our big break. That was our biggest record and our biggest break, and we had #1 single, and played all over the world. That took us everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
even though
so I have
one
to
of
go
my
with
favorite
Lean Into It.
songs is on Bump Ahead, which is Colorado Bulldog. I just love your playing, love that song. And it's, I mean, I understand Lean Into It, it's your big break, of course. Why? I mean, To Be With You, #1, of course, we understand that. But Bump Ahead is really special because, well, while I love the cover of Wild World, I think it's, I mean, I love it even more than the original one. And the other ones I heard, I think your version is my favorite. My favorite for first. That's.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's tough to choose. You know, it's like you have
oh yeah,
4 kids.
Right.
Which is your favorite?
Yes, absolutely.
I love them all. It's hard to say, but I have to give Lean Into It a little bit more because that was just for all of us in the band. That was our breakthrough to a career that like we had never had before.
Absolutely. Bueno, le pregunté por Lean Into It y Bump Ahead y él elige Lean Into It, pero es más por la cuestión del éxito que tuvo Lean Into It, así que bueno, Lean Into It y porque bueno, a pesar de que Bump Ahead está musicalmente igual a Lean Into It, de verdad que él se inclina por Lean Into It es más que todo por el éxito que tuvo y bueno, el #1 To Be With You fue #1 en la Billboard, así que bueno, es así. Okay, we continue with another 2 albums that you participated, obviously. Let's see what's going to be your answer. Eat 'em and Smile or Skyscraper? Oh!
Eat 'em and Smile.
Yeah.
No contest.
That was an easy one.
Oh, man. 99-1. That was a vote.
Ooh.
Actually, 100 to nothing. That was a vote. No, I didn't like Skyscraper. It was a tough time. The vibe was bad. It was. I give Dave respect for trying to do a record like that, but I loved what we were in a room together playing and Eat 'em and Smile, Skyscraper. Everybody came in one at a time. There was no hang, and it wasn't. It was just not.
Oh, I understand.
Not my thing.
I understand. And actually,
it actually took me years.
Ooh.
Took me years before I even listened to it.
But personally, I prefer Eat 'em and Smile as well. Actually, I actually have the same mind as you. Okay, le pregunté sobre Eat 'em and Smile y Skyscraper y definitivamente le elige Eat 'em and Smile, que él dice que Skyscraper no le gustó porque era una época bien oscura en la banda de David Lee Roth y precisamente él dice que ese disco fue grabado como que muy separado, cada uno llegaba y grababa su parte y se iba. Y Eat 'em and Smile fue todo lo contrario, todos juntos en el estudio. Okay, and here's the last one, which is something that doesn't have to do with music. It kind of does, but it doesn't have to do with music, or at least with the music we all love. Although maybe you like some of this music because there's a lot of cool music in this dancing movies that I'm going to ask you. One of the guys wanted me to ask you this, but I'm going to ask you, okay? Saturday Night Fever or Dirty Dancing?
Well, I'd have to go with Saturday Night Fever, I think, because that was a breakthrough. And I think John Travolta's was spectacular in it. And I'm from Buffalo, New York, so we knew about Brooklyn scene and situation like that, and Studio 54. So we heard about that kind of a thing. I'm a little closer to that. But when the dance scene exploded, all the clubs tore a stage out and put up a dance floor and a mirror ball. So we hated the
Yes.
disco movement because we were out of a gig. And so we were never much, that whole era.
Absolutely.
I kind of, you know, we wanted to play rock, and then sure enough, it faded out, and rock came in even stronger. So, but it was, but I'd take Saturday Night
Really
Fever.
nice. Bueno, le pregunté a Billy sobre Saturday Night Fever o Dirty Dancing, y él elige a Saturday Night Fever, a pesar de que, bueno, que él, como rockero, y como siempre como que al disco le dice así como que, ve por ahí, pero bueno, elige porque de verdad las escenas de baile y la música de Saturday Night Fever es genial, a pesar de, bueno, de muchos años después, es genial esa música. Well, Billy, before we end the interview, we can't let you go without you playing us a little bass, because a lot of people is asking you to play a little bass, so play a little bass for us.
Let me see what I can do here. I saw someone before said,
okay.
teach us how to play Addicted to That Rush. Now I'm just plugged into a little practice amp, so it doesn't sound good. I just was practicing down here. But Addicted to That Rush would be. That's the riff. I'll do it slow. As it,
Oh my God, yeah.
I can't do it slow. I'll do it fast again.
Nice, nice, nice. And
that's it.
Another song that I want you to play, just a little bit, at least the intro, Colorado Bulldog. Yeah.
That would be, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, nice, 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 nice.
None of the dog barks.
Well, Billy, thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful, wonderful conversation that we have today. And before we go, well, tell us all about your social media, people that will contact you, and if you have any gigs coming up before the end of the year.
Well, I always invite people to come and join my Instagram.
Yes.
I think it's BillySheehan on bass. You see the blue check mark, that means it's really me. My Facebook is another blue check mark. I have a band page and a personal page. The personal page only allows 5,000 friends, but the band page is unlimited. But I would like to let all of your listeners know that when you write to me there, I see it and I answer, and it's really me. And I love hearing from my friends around the world. And I have made some amazing friendships online. There are some good things to the internet. It doesn't seem it sometimes, but there are good things. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can write to me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. I get them all, I see them all, and I answer, not always a long answer, but I always read what you say and I try to respond. And it's valuable to me that I have so many wonderful friends around the world. And if you don't speak English, I can usually figure out what you're saying or get a little translator program. Let me know. But please get in touch with me. I have my Twitter, my Instagram, 2 Facebook pages. There's a Talus V2 version 2 page. There's a couple of Mr. Big pages. And I can speak for everyone in Mr. Big and for the Winery Dogs and Sons of Apollo and Talus. We love you all, the people that come and listen to our music and buy our music and come to our shows. You've made our lives amazing, and we are very, very much appreciate that. So get in touch with me, and I hope to hear from a lot of you. And Carlos, thank you very much, and thanks to your 3 partners. And hopefully we'll be down in South America soon with Winery Dogs, and hopefully Mr. Big.
Of course. I want to see you guys play live.
Down there.
Of course, I really, with Mr. Big, Winery Dogs, Sons of Apollo. I mean, I know that one of our guys, the guy in Italy, saw you with Sons of Apollo. I think it was before the pandemic started. I think you played in Europe, and he saw you
Yes.
back then. So it was great.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
We had to stop because of the pandemic, and but we'll be starting up again soon, I hope, and I'm excited to get out and play live. Certainly with the new Winery Dogs record and tour, and with Mr. Big.
Thank you so much. Well, let me
too.
translate very fast before we leave. Bueno, sí, Billy deja todas sus redes sociales, BillySheehan on Bass en Instagram, también tiene página en Facebook, tiene página personal y de banda, que bueno, la personal simplemente acepta 5,000 amigos, no acepta más, y que bueno, ya pronto estará de gira nuevamente, que le encanta conocer a los fans de todo el mundo, y estuvo también de gira con Sounds of Apollo, pero la próxima gira que se viene, por supuesto, es la de Winery Dogs, así que pendientes con eso. And obviously, Billy, just before we leave, you're going to play Latin America with the Winery Dogs, right? Absolutely, absolutely. Well,
Absolutely.
Billy, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon again. Hopefully it's going to be on stage, watching you playing on stage.
Fantastic. Well, gracias, obrigado, terima kasih, grazie, efaristo, merci beaucoup, dankeschön, arigato, sheshe, and what else?
Absolutely. Well, people all over the world is watching us right now. So thank you, Billy. Thank you so much. This has been a great, great conversation. Thank you so much, Billy. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So, bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
All right, bro. Take care.